Hi, welcome to Bourne Calling. I'm Skip Barlow. I'm here tonight with Sue Barlow. Sue Barlow is one of our community producers. She does a cooking show and she does a news show, and she's done a whole host of other shows that she's recorded, like for the Historic Society and different things. So she really is a very talented woman, and she's going to talk with us tonight about how you go about becoming a community producer. And there's a lot of people in the town that have different ideas on different things. It might be gardening, or it might be fishing, or it might be, there's just such a host of crafts and things that people do that they might be interested in doing a show on it. Now, I've asked Sue to come in tonight to explain how to get involved. So
well, and we welcome you, really. I mean, please come and get involved. This is a great studio. I have to say that I also work part-time for Bourne TV, so I'm not just a volunteer producer. I work here part-time as access coordinator, so I'm the person, to reach out to the community and hopefully get a lot of, community involvement. So it's really easy to join Bourne TV, and like I said, we'd love to have you. Membership for students and young people is free. You can come in for free and learn how to use all of our equipment. We'll teach you, the cameras, the lighting, how to edit your own programming. And, it's just been really interesting to see someone come in with this raw idea about a show they want to make. And to see Jen and Elaine sit down with that person for an hour or so and brainstorm and almost, like storyboarding, because they come in and they're like, I have this great idea, but how do I make it into something that you put on television? So that's the big leap. And Jen and Elaine just are amazing. I mean, they just walk that person or persons through, each step of the way, and they let it be their own show. Not Bourne TV's show, but that producer's show, and really let their personality and their ideas shine through. They don't try to, put their feelings on anything, but they just help you, sort of master what needs to be done in order to get it broadcast. So,
yeah. So I know that you know what storyboarding is, but the general public really don't have an idea. I never heard of storyboarding until I got involved here.
Yeah.
And do you storyboard for 3 shows? Do you just do one show at a time? How do they do it?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of shows have like a format to them. They have sort of an opening, and then it depends on if it's a show that's going to be done, say, outside of the studio, sort of a field show, or if it's going to be in the studio, if you're going to have guests. So there's a formula to shows, I think, and they just, help you visualize, how all that's going to work with the photos and the art and the music. There's going to be music added, which, seems to help a lot
It does.
to make shows flow. And, the credits and how to credit, anyone who contributes to your show. And, how to interview a person if you wanted to go out and do a show and, it requires an interview. How do you give a good interview? What are the good questions to ask? How do you make your guest, feel relaxed? And they can help, with all those things. But it's just been such a fun experience to work behind the camera and in front of the camera. And probably one of the biggest hurdles for people when they say they want to do a show and then, or, they have something to say and you're like, oh, well, I'd love to, hear about that and hear your story. And they're like, oh, I don't want to be on television, not me. No, I don't want to be in front of the camera. So in my opinion, that seems to be the big hurdle for people in broadcasting. And it was for me too. I remember coming in and thinking about being on camera for the first time and being really uptight about it. And I think especially for women, but surprisingly men feel this way too, about body type. And I'm not a model, and the people you see on television, are all models and beautiful, and they're skinny and they're 6 feet tall. And Jen just looked at me, and she made all these funny faces in front of the camera, and and she's like, do that. And I went, and she's like, you're over it now. You're good. And I was.
That's good.
And it really did work and help you relax. But I think that's probably, a big stumbling block for people who have a great idea and really want to make a show, but, they're a little camera shy. But we can help you get over that.
Yeah, and have you been involved at all in bicycling the shows to other stations, things like that?
Yeah, we do share shows.
Yeah.
There are some shows that are just sort of universal in their appeal, or at least regionally. So we'll share them with Falmouth and Mashpee and Sandwich and Hyannis and all the Cape stations. And so bicycling in means that we just for free share our programming with other stations that might be interested, because the big thing for community television is content. We have a lot of airtime, and we need to fill it with interesting things, and we need community producers to share their shows with us. So that's been great.
So community producer really means a person with an idea that they want to share. If it could be someone with something to do with golf or tennis, or it could be anything.
Sure.
It could be anything. And the community producer thing is just the name of the person who has the idea and puts it all together.
Absolutely.
And Jen and actually you all help put things together. I know you do.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. And it's definitely something that can be a team effort. And there's the one thing that's great about this studio too is that we have our training set up so it's individual. You don't have to sign up for a class and then try to make it there at a certain time and have 5 other people in the classroom. If you need training, it's one-on-one. You don't have to listen to everybody else's issues. We can just sort of focus on you completely and help you with whatever you need to do. And some producers just love being out shooting things, and other producers want to shoot and edit their own material. They get some joy out of editing. We use Final Cut Pro here in the studio to do our editing, and I think it's a fun program. I personally love editing. I could sit in a room with a computer and edit, and 10 hours goes by and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 10 hours. How it seemed like 10 minutes. But some people don't enjoy that. They find it tedious and frustrating, and when that's the case, we can we can do the editing for them and help them.
Yeah, it's changed so much through the years. People who learned to edit, say 15 or 20 years ago, it's a whole different ballgame now. It's not cut and splice, so to speak.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm lucky that I didn't learn it 15 years ago, so
yeah.
I think it was much harder then. The programs are a lot more intuitive now, so I think that helps.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that, people don't realize that it's a lot simpler now. I'm not saying simpler, but not as tedious as it was.
Yeah.
It's more enjoyable.
Yeah. And it's very rewarding to see, something you've done get on television. I mean, it's still a thrill.
Yeah.
I do those, the Cape House cooking show, and I know there are a gazillion better cooks than me out there in Bourne. And, the only thing that's different for me is that, I know how to work a camera, so I get my show on. But if anybody out there would love to do a cooking show, I encourage you to do it. I mean, there's so many bloopers because there's so many things that can go terribly wrong in the kitchen. I've had, we were doing a pizza cooking show one time, and I had a friend on, and we were making all these pizzas, and we tried to get them in and out of the oven, and the pizza stone in the oven cracked right in half, right in the middle of our show. So we had to go down to like Job Lot and buy another one, and I've had handles of drawers come off in my hand when I'm like, oh, here we go, and I'm opening, and I'm like, it's just,
Wow.
the kitchen's a crazy place, but if anybody wants to do a cooking show, I'd love to help out, film it for them, or, they can produce their own show.
Yeah.
People seem to really enjoy watching cooking shows. Even people who don't want to cook seem to get some pleasure out of them.
Yeah, and obviously, it's something you can really do almost yourself.
Right.
I mean, I've seen your shows, and I've seen how you set your camera up, and then you do the show, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun, and you've done some great cooking shows too.
Yeah, but mine was crazy.
I know, they're all crazy. That's the thing. That's the fun of them.
Yeah, they are fun.
Because things can go wrong.
Things always go wrong.
Yeah.
I
know.
That's.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes television kind of funny sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I've had some of the things go on that were really stupid, and I did it all myself.
Right. Oh, I know. We're our own, problem there.
Yeah.
But and then I think the chamber's going to have the concerts in the park again this summer, and Bourne TV always tries to film them, and would just love it if anybody wants to volunteer. If you're planning on going to the concerts, and you want to come down, get a little bit of training, and go down and film them. There's so many great things. The parade, we always film the 4th of July parade. That's a really fun event. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just so many great things. There's Cape Cod Canal Day that's coming up.
Yep, I know they're having that. That's in September. That'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be really good.
Yeah.
And so you'll film that. But we might have somebody in town that has a food truck or something that wants to do a show on.
Oh, that would be fun. Wouldn't that be fun?
There's a couple of new food trucks in town. Maybe you could get one of them interested in telling how they do what they do.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think there's also, I think, a lot of military people in Bourne, from the base and whatnot, and Bob Sheehan did his commemorating our history show over at the community building, and we filmed that for years, and I think that show was hugely appreciated. So if anyone wants to carry that torch, he retired, but things are opening back up again, thank goodness. And we can meet and have these great programs.
Yeah, we do need new ideas, because what's happened is, like, they used to do the men's breakfast, and they'd film that once a month, and they'd always have a speaker, and it was a good show, and that was always, but they're not doing men's breakfast anymore, and
right.
All those things kind of, the television side of it goes away. So maybe, I don't even know if the knitting club still knits. I'm hoping they do.
We're all going to be cold without scarves if they
don't.
I
mean, and there's all these different groups that are going to come back, I hope.
Yeah.
I hope. And, it would be great to film some of them.
Yeah.
Or have them do a show.
Yeah. And there's so many great community organizations in Bourne. The Uptuxet Garden Club, the Bourne Historical Society, the museums at Uptuxet, the Bourne Newcomers and Neighbors groups. There's just, there's the polar swim, that they do on January 1st. Lots of times we have someone who will go down and film that, and that's a great opportunity. And this part of the fun of being a producer is to hear people's stories and see what people are doing, and just all that community interaction.
I've seen your new show, and it's very interesting. And you managed to get. Where do you get a lot of your information from? How's that?
A lot of it's just driving around town, and I see what's going on, say on Facebook on the Bourne Residents page or something, and people are start talking a lot about something, and of course, like all news programs, you get news from news. You read the newspaper, or you hear about an event that's happening. So, I live in Buzzards Bay, so of course I love watching the, development on Main Street. I have a big love of that. I just, I love to see these new restaurants and businesses opening up, and, people seeing their dreams come true with their stores. The ribbon cutting ceremonies, I just love them. I just think it's just, It's
know-
great.
I know that new ice cream shop right next to
Yeah.
the park, and you know, it's unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah, what a
when you
location.
stand there and you look at Buzzards Bay Main Street,
Yeah.
what it was 15 years ago and what it is now, it's completely changed.
Right.
Completely. It hasn't been. It's beautiful.
Yeah. No, it
You
is.
know?
It is absolutely stunning.
I mean, the park is nice. We've got, you know, better parking at the canal, better access. The stores are really nice. The restaurants are nice. I haven't been to that ice cream shop, but I really like ice cream, and I'm going to go. I haven't, you know, my time is really limited, but I really want to go. And I hope my brother's been, because he really likes ice cream, too.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep, and
Yeah. So there's,
Yeah.
you know, there's just a lot going on in Bourne, you know, all the time, and we really would just love to have more community producers out there covering it. And there's also a thing called the citizen reporter, you know, which is sort of a nice term for, hey, if you see news and you take a picture of it, you know, share it with Bourne TV so we can, you know, include it in our programming. And probably the only big tip I have for anyone who wants to do that is when you are taking your photo or your video, which is even better, you know, hold your camera or video, you know,
Sideways?
landscape wise, because you know that's the shape of TV. You know, it's not this
Yeah.
way, so it fits the screen better. So you know, we really appreciate it. I do have some people that send in pictures or, you know, snippets or a little video that I include on that news program. And, you know, they're hugely helpful. And I always credit, you know, anybody that contributes, you know, gets credited. And I send them a link, and they seem really happy to see their material, you know, broadcast on television. So that's
you know,
great.
I'd really like to see community voting get involved and do not that I'm telling them what to do, but and do a segment on the kids that learn to sail and some of the goofy stuff they saw. You know, I mean, nobody does anything perfect when they start, and it's really interesting and it's funny, and it would be in this town.
Sure.
Come on, you know, people love that.
Yeah.
People love things involved with boats and
Yeah.
sailing and even power boats and just different people. I mean, we need more
Yeah.
hits on our coastal community and what's happening there.
Mm.
You know, because it's really kind of neat.
Yeah. Well, you know, we are surrounded by water,
Yeah.
divided by water. There's water everywhere. So, yeah, I think that would be a great idea. Anybody out there want to
Yeah, we need that. We-
volunteer to send in your, you know, ideas for a nice boating series? That would be great.
It would be, and there's several sailing schools in town, different groups. You know, the Buzzards and I don't even know who is what anymore, but there's several different groups, and it would really be interesting. And people who move here don't really know too much about it, and it's good to learn.
Sure.
You know, several of our grandchildren have been involved in community boating, and it's been really good. It really has. And, you know, it's a real fun time, and it's a good experience for kids. And
I think that could be a funny show, because I bet a lot can go wrong
Yeah.
in boating, in my experience, as you know. Many
Yeah.
things have gone wrong out on the boat.
yeah, I know I've never had a problem myself. Everything's always gone perfect. But yeah, I know you and Tom go out all the time.
Yeah.
You know, just full disclosure, she is my sister-in-law,
Yeah.
and she's married to my brother Tom, and
Yeah. Well, and I have to say that one of the most fun things I do in my work here is the trivia, the live trivia show, talking about things that could go wrong.
Oh,
That
yeah.
show is hilarious, and people come up to me constantly and tell me how much they love that show and how much you and Pauline make them laugh. I mean, I must get that comment, you know, every other week. People are coming up to me saying, I just love that show.
yeah,
But
well,
I remember the first year doing that, a live television show. I used to think to myself, what is he, crazy? And I'd be just such a nervous wreck, you know, because I'd be like, okay, hit this switch now and this and that. And, oh, you know, I think the first year I was every other Thursday I was, you know, really
Yeah.
sweating it out there. But now I realize that it's just a lot of fun. And Jen always says this every time I go out on a shoot. She'll say to me, "Sue, have fun with it," and that's great.
Yeah, it is, and it is fun. And Pauline is a really good fit for that show because she's very. We have things go wrong all the time on the set that people don't even know. They don't even know. And we have some really, we run out of questions, we lose questions,
Right.
we drop stuff.
Right.
It's, and we just keep going and it's fine.
Right. You hang up on people accidentally.
But that's what TV's about. It's about fun.
It is, and interacting and getting the community involved and trying to entertain people.
Yeah, and if you're doing if you're a community producer and you're doing a show, nobody here is going to be critical of what you do. They'll try to help you do things to get it on the air, but nobody's going to say, "Oh, you can't do that," or "You can't do this," or "You're doing that the wrong way." People here work together. They work with you, and we all make mistakes, and we all get through it. And a lot of times it's on live TV.
Like now.
Now. No, it's not too bad. Now it's fine. Yeah,
but I'm one who likes a nice edited show.
There are people that really like to plan.
Yeah.
And that's really what storyboarding is. It's planning.
Yes.
Each particular part of your show, and you allot so much time for this and so much time for that and so much time for this, and there are planners in this world who actually, Alex Trebek was really one of those guys who would work all day planning his show for that night.
Wow.
Every day. I'm not that kind of guy. We kind of, we roll with it. And all my shows, whether it was you or with anybody else, even these call-in shows, there's no plan. Because we don't want to, we don't want to.
You don't want to be stale.
No, and we don't want to get off track. Yeah, there's really no plan. And it's always worked out. It's always worked out.
Yeah.
And I've seen your cooking shows, and you really plan them, and you do a wonderful job.
Oh, thanks.
And, it's got to be really hard. I used to try to plan the cooking shows.
Yeah.
Stuff took longer to cook.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes things didn't work. Sometimes they have
right.
a fire going up on the deck. I know.
But the worst one was, I think I was making some lemon squares, and I forgot to put the lemon in, like something, and I was like, I'm realizing it at the end, and I was like cutting it, and I'm like, because I always taste it at the end, and I'm like,
doesn't taste
going,
right.
"Oh man," and I'm like, "This is so delicious," and I hate to lie or fudge it, but what could I do and not be like, "Oh, I really messed that up," throw it in the garbage, but I'm like, "Oh, this is wonderful. You're gonna love this," because I've had it when I've made it correctly, and I know it's good. It was just that time things went a little off.
Yeah, but people do that all the time.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun.
Yep.
And
it is. So I really hope some people watch this show and say, "Oh, I have an idea, but I've been, reluctant." And we can definitely help you, and like you say, it's a lot of fun, and nobody ever, says, you're doing it wrong or critical. It's just a really supportive, group of people that work here and help here, and that's great. And I just think about all the programming that we do for the government channel. I mean, it's just huge. I mean, that just takes a tremendous amount of time and energy, and we're supplying all of that, and I don't know how volunteers would fit into that, but there's just a lot to do. There is. And I think, we're in the high school. I think it's a huge opportunity for students, and I really hope, students get more involved. I think it's great to put on your resume or applications for colleges, that you have this communication training, and so I think that's great.
Yeah, the school used to have a broadcast journalism class for years, and they worked through the studio, and I don't know if they even still have that. They've kind of changed the innovative technology, and it's a funny thing with cable. We were informed a few years ago that it would be phased out because the internet was becoming so popular. but it really hasn't been phased out. And
Right. That's
it's
so
cable's
true.
holding its own. It really is.
Well, they said the same thing about libraries.
Yeah.
You know, libraries were going to go away because we now have, you know, Google. And that didn't happen. I mean, these things have a place, you know, because
Yeah.
they're needed.
People still write books.
And people, you know, have found, you know, other purposes for the library as well. You
Yeah.
know, they have, and I've filmed a lot of them, which has just been you know, great to film, you know, authors and concerts they have over there. Those are a lot of fun. If there's anyone who would like to, you know, volunteer and film some of those, I mean, they're so educational and fun, and those are great.
Yeah, you're on the library trustees now. You're trustee of the
Right.
library, yeah. So you volunteer in other
In
parts
another
of
way.
town too, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the library is just so happy to be open. They're back open now, like all the town buildings and the community building. So, you know.
So do you know how all
exciting.
those little things with books all over town, like this one at Monument
Oh,
Beach?
I love those. Yeah.
Do you know how they work?
I want to know. Yeah, you just take a book.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's
you
how they
bring it back.
work. And
And then you bring it back?
you could. Yeah. I mean, there's no
Hopefully.
requirement. I mean, you can give a different book. But I want to know who puts them out there.
Yeah, they're all around town.
They are, but where are they coming from?
Well,
And
they
who's
come from the
making them?
library.
Oh, they do?
Well, I think the library's the one who puts them out.
Do you think that? Oh, I do
Yeah, it
not
doesn't
know.
mean it's true. It's
No.
just what I think. And, yeah, I think that,
Somebody call in if anyone knows the answer to that. Where do those
yeah,
little
I believe they
ones
belong
come
to the
from?
town and they're part of the library system.
Yeah.
And it was to get books out in places where, you know, people like to read, like the beach,
Yeah.
you know, and they're around in different parts of town. And I noticed other towns are starting to do it now too. They're picking up on it.
Sure. Yeah,
But,
it's becoming really popular.
Yeah,
And I think it's great for, you know, when the library's on this side of the bridge and we're divided by a canal and summer traffic. And even during COVID, it was great. I've taken, you know, several books out of there and put some in. I actually opened up one at the Buzzards Bay Park, and there was like a flip-top can of like beefaroni.
really.
Beefaroni in there, so you could eat and read a book.
Oh,
You
me.
know, so I thought that was really nice with a fork and everything.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So you could
Yeah,
get a little,
I don't know. I haven't been looking at them, but I'm going now.
You're right, it could be free
Yeah.
food.
Yeah, I know, you might be packages of peanut butter crackers or something.
That would be
Their
nice.
attention
Yeah.
and they'll
Yeah.
speak about it.
Yeah.
Your name, please?
So that's great. I have noticed them and they are great.
Okay.
I did not think they were from the library, but who knows?
Yeah, I think the library is involved.
Yeah.
Maybe friends of the library put them out.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, but I think we're going to have a question, but we only got a minute left, so hopefully it'll be a
okay.
quick question.
Yeah.
I was just speaking to that too. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Okay, that'll be good. He must know where the books come from.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably friends of the library, but, you know, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You know, who knows?
I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, even though they're put out there by them, you can certainly take a book. There's no
Mm-hmm.
checkout or anything, and then you can just put your own book in.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for coming on tonight and enlightening us with a lot of information about the
Thank
community producer program and how you get involved. So all you got to do is call the studio. The number's
I will, yes, thank you.
on. Okay, my number is 508-759-6763. And we'd love it if you called and made an appointment and come in and visit and learn how to become a community producer. Okay? So thank you.